Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and then in this wonderful tutorial we're trying to see how to build a very simple machine learning web application with Streamlit, right? So the name of the app is going to be password strength classifier. So it's going to be having two sessions, one to generate random password like this. So in case I run it here, this I did, it's going to generate a random password. So I can specify the number that I want it to be by going, let's say 10, right? So it's going to generate a random password of 10 characters, right? So let's click on generate. So click on generate, it's going to generate that particular password for us. Perfect. So that's generated a random password for us, right, of this particular value. So I can just copy this one from here, and then I'll use it in the other side, right? So there's also another section in which you can also classify the password strength using machine learning. So you just go to the classify password. So to switch to that particular option, then we'll be able to see how to classify our password, right, with ML. Perfect. So now I can just type in my password here, right? So there's a password, and now you can see that now this password is showing here. So in case somebody is beside you, the person will be able to see the password you typed there, which is not the best. So in the next session, we're trying to see a better way of using it, using a very nice feature in Streamlit for password hiding, right? So I can just select a particular model. So we have logistic regression and a naive Bayes. Then I'll go with the classifier. So it's going to classify this particular password as either strong, weak, or average. Perfect. So that's finished classifying, and then the password was average, right? So this is an average password. So that means that can be easily broken. So that is what we'll be trying to build in this tutorial. So in the new version of Streamlit, you can be able to hide this one. So we're trying to see how to do that even as we build the app. So let's see how to build this app from scratch in the next session. So I'll set up the place. So I'm just going to close this old one we are running, and then we're going to build it from scratch. So I'm just going to create a folder called, let's say, password ML app, right? And then move inside my password ML app, not this one, but here, cd into my password ML app. Perfect. Let me increase this so I can see it all. Very interesting. So what we need is that we are going to create a file called app.py, and then we are going to create another directory for all our models, right? So we'll be placing in all our models inside our models folder, and then our app is going to be inside our app itself. So I go with ls. Now you can see that we have our ls here. So let's copy the models and put it inside our models folder. So I've copied my models here. So there is going to be a link below in which you can get access to this model, right? Copy the models that we'll be using. So we have our logistic regression model, our naive Bayes model, and then our count vectorizer, right? So these are the two models and then one vectorizer to be using. So let's start building everything from scratch. I'll just come back to open a new instance here, then go with Sublime. We'll open that particular place, and we will start working on it. Okay, so now let's see how to build it. So first of all, we'll be importing Streamlit. Let me increase the size. I'm going to import Streamlit as st as usual. That's going to be our core package. Then we're going to have our ML package here, right? So we'll be using joblib. So it's going to be import joblib. So joblib is going to help us to load our models. And let's create our function, our main function, which is going to be the function in which all our app is going to be rest on. And let's call this one as password strength classifier, right? Perfect. Then we're just going to go with st.title, which is going to be our password strength classifier ML app, right? That is something very basic. You can also give a subheader, which is going to be, say, with Streamlit or Streamlit, right? Perfect. So let's close off this. This is going to be the old one, and then you create another one, right? You open another one and use it to work on it. Perfect. So that is it. Then now I have to end it with my if main, right? That is all. So all that you'll be doing will be in between this particular place, right? Everything will be in between this place. Perfect. So let's first of all create our first choices, right, for each and every of the activities we'll be doing. So activities, and then these activities we're having 3 main activities. We're going to be having our classify password activity, then also going to have another activity for generating password, generate password, right? And then we can have our about. So let me expand it so I can see it well. Have our about, going to be our about, right? So that is the three main activities we're doing. Then let's create our choice. So the choices is going to be, or we can make it single choice, right? Then it's going to be our st.sidebar dot select box. Now passing, we can pass in any name that you want to do. So let's say select activity. Perfect. And then from here I can just move on to this activity. So I'm passing in this my list here. Very interesting, right? That is all that you have done for it. So you have been able to build something very simple. Now we can just go with if my choice is equal to classify password. Give me the password. So st.subheader. Then let's call it classifying password with ML, right? That is going to be that aspect. Then can let's move on to the next one. So else if choice is equal to the next one, which is going to be generate password. Going to be generating a password. We just go with st.subheader, then generate random password. Perfect. These are the two main things we'll be doing. Then we can just go with the normal, another else if again for, or we can make it else as much as you wish, which is going to be for our about, right? Very interesting. So we have three different sessions. st.about, the subheader is going to be about app. Very interesting. So these are the three main activities and three main sessions of our app. So let's run what you have done so far and see what you have done. So just come back to my terminal, the same location that I have, making sure that everything is stopped, nothing is running. Then we can just run it here. So it's going to be Streamlit run, then the name of our app.py. It's going to run it perfectly for us. It's going to open a particular port in progress. It's taking some time to run. Perfect. So that's finished. So it's giving us this information to upgrade it. So when we upgrade it, then we'll be able to have the new features that has come, right, to help us with the app as I was talking about. So let's copy this one. That's already opened this one here. So I'll just copy this, and then I'll come back to my, let's use Chrome as always, then paste inside Chrome, right, as always, as we do. Going to be this, I'll paste inside Chrome as always, as we do. Then let's close off this one, right? Very interesting. Okay, perfect. So while it's opening, now let's set up our place and start working as expected. So I don't know, my system is getting slow. Apologies for that. Perfect. So that's finished perfectly well. So now you see that we have our password strength classifier with Streamlit, and then I can just go to these sessions. We have our classify password, we have our generate password, which is going to open for us to generate random password, and we can also have our about, right? It's going to be about, right? Very, very interesting. So everything is working as expected. Now let's see some other stuff you can do. So I can come back to this place here, and then let's work on, first of all, we're going to work on the generating password, then work on the machine learning aspect. So let's work on the generating password. So to generate password is very simple. You can just create a simple function. So I'm just going to import some other packages. So it's going to be other packages. So we just be importing random, then we also import string, right? So these are the two main stuff we'll be using to help us generate our random password. Then I'm going to create a function which is going to help us with the password that you want to generate. So I'll give it a size. So the size is going to be the number that you want, the number of the password, the length of the password. Then I'll go with characters. Then I'm going to combine string dot digits, right, to get all digits, plus string dot punctuations. I don't know how to spell punctuations. Right? Then we can also add string dot ASCII ASCII letters, right? So these are the three main stuff that we'll be working on. So we'll be using punctuations, we'll be using decades, we'll be using characters to help us build our password, right, randomly. Perfect. So that is the basic idea of what you're trying to do. Right, perfect. So this is supposed to be ASCII letters and then punctuation, right? No punctuations. Okay, that is all. So we have been able to build simple characters, and now we can be able to generate a password. So let's go to generated password PSWD, short format for password. Then I can just go with the simple join. Got to join. Then I'm going to loop through it. So it's going to be random.choice. So we're using random.choice to select out of these characters that we have, right? And then selecting out of the characters. Then when you select out of the characters, you'll be looping through them, right? So for, let's say, x in range, then I'll pass in my size. So this size is referring to the size. So that if case a person specify 10, the length of the password to be 10, it's going to generate 10 random numbers, right? That's the basic idea behind this particular code here. So we are randomly selecting from our characters, and then we are going to bring it out. So it's going to be return our generated password. Very interesting, very simple, right? So that's something very basic that you have built. Very interesting. Now we have built our password. So the next thing is that we are going to add that particular feature inside our generate random password. So let's see how to work with it. So it's going to be very simple. So I just come back to the same place here and go with st.number to help us with our number, right? Then number input rather. Perfect. So let's put inside a variable called number. So st.number input. Then I'll pass in some values. So what am I going to pass in? I'm going to pass in a test first. So enter number of pass, or let's go to enter length of password. Length of password. Then I'm going to give it an upper limit and a lower limit. So the upper limit is going to be 8 because it's recommended that most passwords are more than 6, right? So we're using 8 to help us with that. So let's call it as 8. Then the upper limit is going to be, let's say, 25, right? So that we don't stress it too much. Very interesting. So that is something very simple. Now I can just come back and then st.write the number so that the person knows the number that he has chosen. Very interesting. That is all that we need. So we're going to bring our function down there. So the function is going to be as if st.button is going to generate. If that's the case, then I want you to run the function. So custom password is equal to our password gen. Then I pass in my number. So this number here we are passing is referring to the length of the password that you want to do. Then you're going to st.write that's our custom generated password. Perfect. So that's all. So let's see what you have done and let's see whether it's going to work perfectly as expected. So I'll just go with always run, and then we can just come back to the side, come to generate classify password. We have nothing there now because we have not done anything there. Then I'll come back to my generate password, right? So it's going to run it perfectly for us. So you can see everything is working. So we have our number, our upper limit, the lower limit. So I can increase the value to 11 or to 12. Then I can click on generate. So if I click on generate, it automatically generated a very simple password for us. Very, very interesting. I can increase the size to, let's say, 20. Then when I click on 20, press enter. So I can click on generate. Then it's automatically going to generate 20 characters. Very interesting, randomly, right? So that is very, very interesting. So we have been able to build a simple random password generator, right? Now let's move on to the ML aspect, which is going to be the option of being able to classify a password, right? So I'll come back to the same place that we have here. Don't know whether I can see it well. Let me expand this to this place. So what we need is that first of all, we're going to create a session to receive our password. So let's go to the password. Then this is going to be as st.test underscore input. Then I'll pass in enter password, right? Perfect. Then I'll just specify another stuff here as type. Let's say type here. Very interesting. So this is for Streamlit from 0.52, right? All of them you can do this one. And then if I come back here, let's run it and see so that everything is working very well. But in case I type in something here, hello, anybody standing beside me will be able to see what I'm typing. So it's not good for classifying passwords, right? In case you are building a production ready app, so you have to at least max this particular text that the person is typing, right? So how do you do that? So in the updated or upgraded version of Streamlit, that is from 0.54 upwards, you just need to specify this. Take off this. So let's make it like this. So I'll copy this one, come back here, then I'll uncomment the first one, right? So this is for 0.52, everything less than this, right? Less than this is going to, you can just use this one, but to get the new feature that I'm talking about is anything from 0.0554 right? Perfect. So in this case, this place is going to be changed from here to type is equal to password, right? You specify it as pass. So if I go with password like this, now it's no more going to give us this particular stuff here in which I can type, and the person will see it will mask this, right? So it's going to mask it like that. So we will first of all build this app, then later on try and use that particular feature to see what you have done, right? So that is a basic idea, something for the new update, right? So that's something basic you have to know. Okay, now let's try with the old one that you have been doing so far. Perfect. So we have created a password. Now the next thing is that we are going to store that password inside a variable called password. Then we're going to use that password to do our machine learning aspect, to do our prediction. That is the basic idea. So I'm just going to come back to my model choice. Be selecting different models. Then it's going to be st.select box. Then I'll pass in the password I want to, the different type of models to select ML model, right? The particular algorithm that you want to use. Then I'll supply the list. So before we supply the list, we have to create that particular list. Let's go to model list. So the model list will be having logistic regression and then naive Bayes, right? All of these are the models that you'll be using. So let's call that LR for logistic regression, and then the next one is going to be naive Bayes, right? That is all. So I'll pass this model list here. It's going to be model list. Perfect. So if I save it and I come back to our working area, so now we have our select model here, right? So I can select logistic regression, naive Bayes, right? Perfect. That is very interesting. So the next thing we are going to do is that we'll be trying to add some other features to it. So I'll just come back, open this one, and now we are going to create a button to help us. So if our, let's call this button a different button. So if st.button, right, is called to classify, right? Then I want you to do analysis. So we are first of all going to vectorize our password, convert it from text into vectors of numbers. So that's why, so because we are going to be vectorizing it, to be using our count vectorizer from our models here, right? So that's what we're trying to use. So I just go to the top of this place, and then we're first of all going to import them in a simple way using joblib, right? So that is the purpose of the joblib. So I'm just going to go with def, then let's go to load model, then I pass in my model file. Perfect. Then from here I'm just going to go with loaded model. So loaded model, then I'll be using joblib to help us. So joblib dot load, then I'm going to open that particular file. So let's go with open. So I'm opening the file. So there are several ways of opening the file, but to be using OS to help us. So os.path.join to help us open a particular file, right? Then I'll pass in my model file here. Very interesting. So we are trying to open any of these files. So we're going through this models folder to help us. So I have to import OS2 to help us with that. Very interesting. So that is the basic idea behind that. I don't know whether the audio is okay, but I hope it's okay. Okay, so that is the basic idea. Now from that, I'm just going to open the file. So we are opening that particular file. Then we are going to go on and then open it as read byte. So RB for read byte. Very interesting. And that is all, right? So we can now return our model. So this return our loaded model. Very interesting. So this is going to help us to load our model, right? So no matter the amount of model, we're using this particular function to help us load our model. So the next option is that we have to load our vectorizers to convert our text, our password into vectors, right? So I'll just go with password pwd and our vectorizer. Then let me bring it up a little. Then I can just do the same thing that I did. So I can open it. I can open the file first. So open. Then we're using os.path. We can just go straight away without the path and go with os model. Right, inside our models folder, we have our models folder here. Models folder here. Very interesting. Then I'll just pass in my pswd cv, referring to the count vectorizer model here. So I'm opening that one as read byte. Perfect, that's all. Then I'm just going to use joblib to load it, right? So let's go to as password pwd cv. Then I'll just load it with joblib. So joblib.load our password vectorizer. Perfect. So that's all that we need. So we're using this password vectorizer, count vectorizer, to vectorize our test. So I'll just come back to this same place that we have here. Then I'm just going to pass in password count vectorizer. Then I'll pass in that particular word. Right? So that's the basic idea. So this is the simplest way of working with it. Perfect. So it's going to be dot transform. So we are transforming that particular password that we have. So let's place it inside the list. So password, referring to the password test here. Right, very interesting. Then I'll convert it to array. That is also, we have vectorized that particular test. Then we're using that same vectorized test to help us do our ML aspect. So it's going to be that if our model choice is equal to LR, right, logistic regression, then I want you to load that particular. So let's go to predictor for that model. So let's go to load model function. The load model function is referring to this load model function that you created. Then you pass in models slash logit underscore pswd underscore model underscore pkl, right, for pkl, referring to this particular file, right? Very interesting. That is all. So after loading the model, you can use that model to predict. So let's go to prediction. It's going to predictor dot predict. Now pass in my vectorized password. That is all that we need, right, to help us with that. So that is for the first aspect. Now let's repeat the same thing because it's going to be the same code. So I'll copy this. Then we repeat it for the next one. So I'm going to repeat this one for our naive base. So this is going to be naive base. Then I'll change this one from logistic regression to NV, right? NV. That is all, right? So something very simple and something very cool. Then I can return it as st dot right prediction. Okay, so let's save this one, all that we have done so far, and let's see how far we have done, right? So just come back here. Perfect. So it's running everything as expected. So you see that we have our password classifier. We have our classified password. That's where we are now. You can see that everything is working as expected. So you can select different models, logistic regression, naive base, and you can try it with the hello. So let's try it with the hello with using logistic regression. But you realize that we don't have our button, right? The button is not showing. So let me stop this one and then rerun it again, saving it so that at least we're able to see that the button is working. Because it's supposed to show that particular button. Perfect. So now everything is working as expected. So we have our classify button here. So I can just type in any password that I want. So the simplest password is password, right? That is one of the commonest password in the world. So I select the model, can select different models. So naive base, logistic regression. I click on the classify. It's going to classify that particular password and give us the result, right? So that's something very basic about the app. So in a nutshell, the basic idea is that we're just first of all going to import Streamlit as our main stuff to be building our UI. Then we'll be using joblib to load our models. So we have this particular function to load all our models, which can be found inside our models folder. Then we also going to load our vectorizer, right, to vectorize our test. Then we are going to create another function to generate our password using random and string. Very interesting. That is the basic idea. Then we're going to create our main function, right? Then we're going to have three different sessions: one to classify our password, one to generate our password, and then one about. Then we're going to create a simple choice option to select it, then create a session for working on our password. Very interesting. and then another session for generating our password, right? That is the basic idea behind what you have built so far. So let's see it and see the result so far. Perfect. So it gave us a classification of 1, right? So we have 0, 1, and then 2. So this is the classification for this particular password that we used previously. So now let's add some labels to it to make it user friendly. So I just come back here, then I'll paste in the code to save time. So this is something very simple. So we're going to create a simple dictionary which is having this particular value. So weak for 0, average for 1, and then strong for 2, right? Based on our data set. And I've created a simple function to help us get that particular value, right? So let's come back to this place here. Then at this particular point, I'm just going to go with, let's say, our final prediction or final result. So this final result is going to be very simple. We're just going to be using the get function that we had, the get key function. So get key, then I'll pass in the prediction that we have from the model, and then I'm going to pass in my password labels. So password labels, perfect, right? So it's going to give us that particular result. Now I can just print that result here. So let's use st.info, then I'll pass in the final result. So if I save it now, it's not going to give us this one value that we had previously. It's going to give us the actual value, right? Whether it is weak, average, or strong, right? That's the basic idea. So let's come back and then let's run it again. So let me position it well. So let's change this password to something better. So let's say hello world, right? And then we just choose this particular model. Then now we can classify it, right? So if I click on, I can even stop it and then do everything again. So this was the not user friendly one, right? But we are going to create another one. So I'll classify this one, the same thing that we have. So we are using hello world, we are using logistic regression model. Then I'm going to classify it. So let's rerun again. Perfect. So it gives us a result of average, right? So that means that it's not a very poor password, but it's an average password. That is the basic idea behind what you have built so far, right? So it's very simple. You just import your packages, your core packages. You created one for generating password, one for loading our models, and then that is all. So that is something very basic. Now let's see how to modify this our app that you have done. So in case the person is typing here, you can see that we can see what the person typed, right? You can see the actual password, but you want to hide this. So how do we do that? So that feature can only be found in version 0.54, as we said here, right? So let's uncomment this one out, and then we are going to stop everything and then run it with that new version, right? So this is for the new version, for the upgraded version, not the new version, right? To see that particular feature, to be able to hide this particular stuff here, so that the person, only the person knows, but a standard by cannot see it, right? So let's save this one and rerun everything. So I'll close off this, right? And I'll move on to switch to a different version. So this is going to be Streamlit version. So this we are running it inside this is a normal version, right? We're going to be running it inside a virtual environment with an upgraded version for the version 0.54. So in case you have not subscribed to this channel, you can also subscribe, and please check the links below for some interesting materials and some interesting courses to help you master machine learning and then Python. So perfect. So this was the old version, this is a new version, and now we are running a new one. So pip env run Streamlit run to be able to set it up, right? That's the basic idea. So I'll copy this URL here. I'll do it by default. I'm going to open my browser. So this is 2, copy this one, and then we just open it here. So this is the old one, right? So we are closing the old one. You can just run them beside it to see it, but let's close it. Now paste it here. So let's expand it so that you'll be able to see it very well. That's a nice feature, right? That is the Streamlit new logo. Very nice. Running everything as expected. Perfect. So this is the newest version, right? Using the current version. So now we are having the hide button. So I can just type in hello world. Right now it's hidden. So this is quite better for the user. So I can just click on this and I can see it showing very well. That is what we added. So to get this particular feature, all you need is just come back to the same place we did and then change and set the type to password, right? Which is available from this particular version now post. So thank you for watching this long tutorial. Apologies for how it was. Hope you have learned something, and see you in the next session. Please don't forget to subscribe. Stay blessed. Bye.